Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies, and comrades, karibuni sana. I hope you guys are doing well wherever you are. This is Kenya Revolutionary. I am really in an ebullient mood. It's a wonderful day. It's really chilly where I am, so I am kind of freezing. That's the reason why I probably won't be here for long. I'll just keep this video as short as possible, but I have to discuss this. I'm Nagani. I have to discuss what's going on. So, as you know, for those of you who are still new, who don't know about this channel, my name is Kenya Revolutionary, as I've just explained. I talk about Kenyan politics and the world politics as it relates to Kenya. So if you like that kind of content, please take a few seconds, a millisecond. It can take you just a second, millisecond. Use that index finger to hit that subscribe button, okay? And like the video, okay? And also, that's not even enough. With that bell button, make sure it's on so every time I come in, you can always get the notification that, hey, I'm live, I'm on. You can join the discussion on the chat. And there's some days where I can always bring you guys to the studio. But since it's cold and I'm trying to make this video short, I will stick to the topic and I'll be very fast and talk about the issues of the day. For those of you who've already subscribed, you know the first order of business, like the video. Let's get to it. Kenya's cybercrime law versus freedom of speech or freedom of expression. Now, there's a huge debate. This is part of the discussion that really a lot of people are addressing right now, as part of the 8 laws that Ruto passed when everybody else was mourning Raila Odinga. Shimariamu, shikamo mwanangu, sijakuona for a long time, sijakuona for a while. Karibu sana, karibu sana. Hebu nipatie like hapo mara moja. But let's get to the issue, okay? Cyber law. Now, before we get to the actual issue, the Odinga family has officially announced that Raila Odinga Jr. is going to be the head of the family. So I don't know what exactly that means. Okay, well, chini ya maji. Naelewa. Okay, so I don't know exactly what that means by that announcement. I don't know if now Raila Odinga Jr. will be running for a public position, or is he going to be the official spokesperson for the family? Is he going to be the head of the ODM chairperson, whatever the case is, the position that Raila Odinga occupied? I don't know what this means, but whatever the case is, they made it clear that Raila Odinga Jr. is going to be the head of the family, okay? Now, whatever that means, we'll maybe find out later, okay? Other news, Gladys Wanga. Gladys Wanga today, after a huge backlash by a majority of Kenyans. Sawa, naelewa Shimariam, asante, nashukuru, nimefurahi kukuona. Gladys Wanga, now, she tried to pull up, claw back from her statements yesterday when she came out and said, Gachagua and I don't know, Kahiga cannot come to Bondo, they are banned from Bondo. I don't know what's up with this Gladys Wanga. But anyway, so after that backlash, because everyone was really speaking against her, even the goons from the people, Raila goons, I forgot his name. Anyway, they came out and said, hey, listen, we are not buying this whole Central versus Nyanza province nonsense, Kikuyus versus Luo thing. We are not buying it. Wanga, you're not speaking for all Luos. And Kahiga definitely is not speaking for all Kikuyus, okay? So we are not buying this back and forth between these two politicians. Kama nyinyi mko na shida, endeni mkakutane huko kwa as governors and whatever, mupigane mangumi, whatever the case is. So I like that the people were calling out Wanga. So Wanga tried to save face and had a press conference with the SK Macharia, who is apparently a longtime friend of Raila Odinga, and was trying to show the country that, basically the optics were to pass this message that Wanga has no problem, ODM has no problem with Kikuyus. Here's SK Macharia, he's besides me, we are talking, we are laughing, all that crap. But we're not buying into it, Wanga. We know you're desperate because you understand that come 2027, even before that maybe, you might not be having a job. So you have to try to cling on Raila's name and his friends and anything that was closest to Raila Odinga, so that you can to kind of with the hopes of having the support from the people by the fact that people like Raila Odinga. Okay, so let's get to it. Kenya cybercrime laws. Okay, so in this computer misuse and cybercrime law, there's a particular section that has a lot of people troubled with it, which is section 27, subsection 1B and C, which is in contention here. This is what, it talks about. Basically, it addresses the whole trolling thing. The reason why you see on the thumbnail, there's a picture of Raila Odinga Jr. is because there was kind of a trend going on right after, Raila was buried. There were young people who are, on TikTok and I don't know what kind of platforms, Facebook, whatever the case is, social media basically. They were coming out and they were making fun of Raila Odinga Jr. If you know Raila Odinga Jr., he kind of has some kind of deformity. His mouth is kind of crooked when he talks. So there were people coming out there and, just taking pictures with, making contorted facial expressions, in making fun of Raila Odinga Jr. So there's a whole debate. People are talking about, oh, that's a cybercrime. Of course, the nitwits that are supporting this cybercrime bullcrap, okay? They're talking about this is cyberbullying. This is, this constitutes, a violation of this law. So, these people should be brought to account, to law. And there are those who are arguing, like me, that no, trolling somebody is not a crime. It is not a crime. Now, listen to me very carefully. I want to be clear about this. I'm not supporting those young men and women who are making fun of Raila Odinga's looks or his mouth or whatever the case is. I think that's just a sign of immaturity. Young people make fun of others, okay? I remember when I was young, I found, stammerers funny. I found people who, this is just something that when you're young, you do because you don't know better, okay? When you're young, you laugh at, and remember the old folks used to tell us, our parents used to tell us, don't laugh at people who look funny or whatever the case is. You might have somebody who was in the society or is in the community who had a big head or whatever, extraordinary big head, because they had a, some kind of medical issue, or maybe somebody had a short arm or, kiwete or boo-boo, whatever the case is. When you're young and you don't know better, you would make fun, you'll find it funny and you'll make fun of them until somebody older told us, hey, listen, it's not fun to do this. This is not what's up. We don't make fun of people who have kind of some kind of deformities or medical issue, whatever the case is. And, being grown as a grown person, I cannot come here and start making fun of Raila Odinga Jr.'s appearance, okay? Because he has a condition or whatever the case, birth deformity or whatever the case is. I don't know what's going on with him, but it's visibly, when he talks, you can see that his mouth is like kind of sideways crooked. But that's not something I would laugh at as a grown person who knows better. It's not his fault that he looks that way, okay? It's not something I would come here and start making fun of, okay? But again, we are living in the world of the internet where people troll. People will make fun of you. If you're a public figure, and you might catch the stray bullets just because some people didn't like your father. So they will comment on the comment section and say, hey, shut up with your whatever crooked mouth or whatever the case is. Is that a crime in itself? No. Is it cyberbullying? No, I don't think so. Do you know why I say that? If Raila Odinga Jr. has, let's say, a Facebook or a YouTube page or whatever the case is, he has a choice. He can actually block the people who are making fun of him. He can ignore them. He can have them banned from his channel or whatever the case is, his Facebook comment section or whatever the case is, if they're following him. So he has options, okay? So I know a lot of people might be asking, why are some people, especially I saw David D, pointed out this section of the Constitution, this section of the cyber law that actually addresses this issue of bullying. And I will I will read it to you so you can see. All right, so in this, the computer misuse and cyber crime law, in under section 27, subsection 1, we can read there under cyber harassment, it says, a person who individually or with other persons willfully communicates either directly or indirectly with another person or anyone known to that person commits an offense if they know or ought to know that their conduct, A, is likely to cause those persons apprehension or fear of violence to them or damage or loss on that person's property, or B, detrimentally affects that person, or C, is in whole or part of an indecent or grossly offensive nature and affects that person. Okay? Number 2, a person who commits an offense under subsection 1 is liable on conviction to a fine not exceeding 20 million shillings or to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 10 years or to both. 3, a person may apply to court for an order compelling a person charged with an offense under subsection 1 to refrain from A, engaging or attempting to engage in, or B, enlisting the help of another person to engage in any communication complained of under subsection 1. 4, the court, A, may grant an interim order, and B, shall hear and determine an application under subsection 4 within 14 days. 5, an intermediary may apply for the order under subsection 4 on behalf of the complainant under this section. Okay. And 6, a person may apply for an order under his section outside court working hours. Now, basically what he's saying is this, that if you, for example, these trolls that were making fun of Raila Odinga Jr., you know, of course, if Raila Odinga sees the videos and the pictures and whatever the case is of people making fun of him, of course, it will cause him some emotional distress. Does that constitute a violation of his rights? Does that constitute a crime against Raila Odinga Jr.? In my opinion, it's no. Okay? The trolls, and like I say, I'm not supporting the trolls here. I'm just saying I support their right to express themselves, even though it may be offensive to some people, including Raila Odinga Jr., because I don't think, Raila Odinga Jr. has the right. I'm just using him for example, okay? I'm not saying that he's the only victim here. There's so many people who have been trolled and worse, okay? But what I'm trying to say is this. Raila Odinga Jr., even though these kids are making fun of him about his appearance, okay? And if he gets to see it, of course, it might emotionally cause him some distress or, emotional damage, okay? He might be grieved by, upset about those. But still, it does not make it a crime. The action of those kids does not make it a crime, because their action of trolling Raila Odinga Jr. does not violate Raila Jr.'s rights. In this sense, okay, it does not harm him physically. Emotionally, it might harm Raila Odinga Jr., but it is something that he can control. Okay? Now, listen, if we are going to live in a society where we can't make fun of others, remember when we were in a school, vile tulikuwa tunaenjoyana, magoa as we used to call it, okay? We make fun of how you look, make fun of your shirt, how your hair looks, how your nose is the size of your nose, your mouth, your teeth, your chin, your weight, if you are ashy, if you are, you see what I'm saying? We used to make fun of each other. Now, the person being made fun of might not like what is being said, but that does not mean that the person making fun of you is actually doing something illegal. Okay? Because he's not violating your right, in the sense that you have the control, you can control your emotions. You can choose to ignore, walk away, and get mad. The action you take after that, it's all up to you. And that's what I'm saying. Now, this goes back to Article 33 of the Kenyan 2010 Constitution. Freedom of expression. If you want to go read it. Yes, it says that freedom of expression, okay, is guaranteed to everyone, except if you are inciting people to cause harm to people, or you are, unajaribu to divide people. I can read it if you want me to read it, okay? That's what I'm saying. I'm saying, or if your speech is designed to deny somebody their right, is going to result to the violation of somebody's right. I mean, and I could take away from somebody's right. That's when it becomes a problem. Okay? So making fun of Raila Odinga Jr. in itself is not even. Let me say this, and some of you might not like it. Kahiga, what's his first name? Is it Mutahi? Whatever the name. Kahiga, that governor of Nyeri, who said what he said about Raila Odinga. If the interpretation of what he said yesterday was accurate, from my understanding, he actually did not violate any law. Yeah, he did not violate any law. He might say something that is in bad taste, okay? Given the circumstances. Raila has just been buried. People are still mourning Raila Odinga. All he said, from my understanding, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies, and comrades, distinguished guests, he said, thank God Raila is dead. I'm paraphrasing. Thank God Raila is dead. And he's the biggest enemy of our people in Central Province. Okay? And God doesn't sleep in Kayole or whatever the case. Basically saying that thank God Raila is dead. I'm just paraphrasing what Kahiga said. Now, is it offensive? Yes, it is offensive. Highly offensive, knowing the fact that what he said is actually, Raila Odinga is loved by many. Okay? Will it cause grief to the Raila family if they hear it? Absolutely. Okay? Does it violate the rights of Raila Odinga's family or those people who are offended? No. Now, if Kahiga said, thank God, Raila amekufa, ameuliwa, na tutazidi kuua hao Wajaluo, then it will be a crime. Because now he's inciting the public against a certain community, tribe. You understand? His speech was divisive in nature because the implications are that the people of Central were happy about the Raila's death. But that's his speech as an individual. It is offensive. The offense is committed by the individual named Kahiga. But he hasn't broken any law. Some people are screaming, oh, hate speech, hate speech. It's not hate speech. It's not. The man simply was expressing his feeling about the death of his political enemy. Or maybe Raila was his personal enemy. I don't know. But expressing your feeling about somebody who is dead, okay, is not a crime. You can't conscript everyone into mourning a political figure who we all may not feel the same way about him. Not everyone likes Raila Odinga. Now, it will be wise, even if you don't like Raila Odinga and you understand that there are a lot of people who like him, it will be wise for you to not say things like that, given the fact that majority of the people are still mourning him. It's wise to just be quiet. Watch your mzike. You know, let everything go, bygones, bygones. Okay? You can mention it in the future if you're having a debate about Raila's legacy. Then you can come up and say, hey, Raila Odinga was not a reformist. He was not for these reasons, A, B, C, and G. That's wisdom. But just because you say something that's not wise does not mean it's illegal. Like I said, Kahiga did not violate any law by saying that, thank God Raila is dead. That's not violating it. Actually, I didn't see any offense. I didn't see anything offensive about what he said because I knew that is the kind of thing that Kahiga would say. Okay? So I think the media made it bigger than what it was. Was it offensive? Yes, it was offensive. Was it a big deal? In my opinion, it shouldn't be a big deal, but they made it a big deal. Like I say, for the reasons that I mentioned, they are trying to make it, they're trying to bring this Luos versus Kikuyu nonsense. I like what somebody said, that how come somebody videotaped that part that Kahiga said, and all of a sudden, all the news media picked it up and it went viral, and all of a sudden, everyone is on Kahiga's nuts. And after that, Gladys Wanga also comes up with a press conference and says what she says. You can see this was something that was planned. But I have mentioned this in the context of protected speech. What is protected speech and what is not? Article 33 of the Kenyan Constitution actually mentioned this. Go read it. Okay? For those of you who are easily offended, just listen. Just because you get offended by something does not mean it's illegal. That's the statement. That's the message I want to say here today. Just because you are easily offended by something does not mean it's illegal. Okay? So, while I say those videos and picture images of those young men making fun of Raila Odinga's appearance, Raila Odinga Jr.'s appearance, may be offensive to many, but they are not illegal. It does not violate the rights of Raila Odinga Jr. because Raila Odinga has control over the situation. He can choose to ignore, block, or not react to what those young folks were actually posting in social media. You understand? Even in lawsuits, if you want to sue somebody, okay, the threshold is always, let's say if I posted something, I'm using this as an example again. David Maina, karibu sana. And I read your comment. I like your comment. For example, if I said something offensive about Shi Mariam, and I say, Shi Mariam, you are ugly, you look like a monster, and I start making fun of you. If she was to sue me in a court of law, you have to prove that what I said caused you damage. Not just emotionally, it made you lose. Loss of financial loss, or, you know, it ended up to somebody alikupiga kwa sababu of what I said. You know, there's the threshold that can be met. That's why you see, if you're a public figure and I lie about you, niseme ati wewe umeiba pesa. Now, you can take me to court and say, okay, you say that I mismanage some public funds. Can you prove it in the court of law, or else there'll be consequences on me? Kwa sababu hiyo nakuharibia jina. Okay? Now, let me read this comment real quick by David Maina. He said, the downsides of being a public figure or a child spouse of one, especially one with the profile of Raila's, okay? I, however, condemn the mockery towards Junior, and I can never excuse those idiot trolls. Absolutely. You know, very understandable. You know, those trolls were offensive to many. But you cannot suppress the freedom of expression. We don't have to feel the same way about everything. Some people like Jomo Kenyatta, some people don't. Some people celebrated when Jomo Kenyatta died, some people cried. Some people liked Kibaki, some people didn't. Some people celebrated when Kibaki died, some people mourned. You're not going to arrest those people who celebrated the death of Kibaki just because some people were happy when Moi died. Some people mourned. Some people mocked Moi when he died. Some people did not. Are you going to arrest, charge the people who celebrated, mocked, made fun of Moi when he died just because you liked Moi and you're offended by the fact that they were celebrating the death of Moi? No. They are expressing their freedom of speech. Okay? If you're going to continue that way, then we might have, I mean, every time somebody, you know, say something outrageous about you or makes fun of you, oh, okay, tupeleke nkotini. If I see somebody trolling here, 10 million, tupeleke ufungwe. You see what I'm saying? There has to be levels of it. We have to be reasonable in this. But like we said, the main aim of this cybercrime laws are designed to suppress freedom of expression and freedom of speech when it comes to these politicians who are making laws that they know are not in the interest of the majority of the public. Otiende Amolo gives us a glimpse of how these draconian laws were passed, the mood of the parliament. The main culprit is not even Ruto in these laws. Yes, this back ends with Ruto because he assented it to them, he signed them into law, but it started with the representatives, the parliamentarians. Why are we not outraged by the parliamentarians? Where were they? Who, you know, if you was, listen, that's why this whole fight about these 8 laws that Ruto passed, I think it's a joke. I'll tell you why it's a joke. While we are busy calling Ruto, oh, Ruto is passing these laws. How about we start with our representatives? They were supposed to consult with us. Article 118, public participation. Where was it conducted? Was it conducted? These MPs were supposed to go back to Mashinani and ask us, what do you think about these cybercrime laws? What do you think about these land laws? What do you think about this privatization bill that we want to amend? What do you think about it? Should we go with it? Should we scrap it? Was it done? Was there public participation? What was your input? What was the general consensus of the people before the parliamentarian went back to parliament to pass that law? So when I see people running, saying Ruto, yes, Ruto is also liable because he signed them into a law, but it also starts with your parliamentarian. If you were serious about fighting these laws, we would have started tuangalie nani alivote yes for these bills, tuanze. Because that's how tutaanza kuchambua hii maneno. Who voted? Nani aliwaambia mu vote for this public hizi bills, these 8 of them that passed? When was it debated? Mbona hamtu kuletea hiyo nilio mlete public participation huko mashinani? That is how you would do it if you're serious. Now, I know there's a conservatory orders, to stop the implementation of these provisions of this computer misuse and cybercrime law after the petition by Faith Odhiambo and others in the High Court. I understand that. It's a step to halt this process. But what about the other laws? Because it's not just the cyber law alone that we are fighting, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters. Monsieur Katri X, let me read you an email. Our current leader has fragile ego and he wants everyone to love him. Absolutely. He does. You see what I'm saying? The laws have been halted temporarily because the hearing is on November 5th, I believe. Okay? But still, what about the other laws like the land laws, the privatization bill, which is law now? What about those? Why are not they halted? Are we fighting against them? You see what I'm saying? Tunaenda kotini, wanaeka conservatory laws, then we drag these cases while we get our attention is being diverted while it was being fought in case. Kwa sababu hiyo kesi ikiendelea kwa kotini, you'll see the media will not cover that. The media will be busy covering Gladys Wanga and the Kasmuels fighting Sifuna, instead of telling us things, reporting on things that actually are important to the Kenyan people. I told you, this is not the time not only to fight against these laws. This is the time to completely overhaul the entire political system of Kenya. Because these people will not stop with these silly laws. Even if you put those there conservatory laws, they'll still pass other laws that are just as bad. They will. They will divert your attention with the vita ya Kasmuel na Sifuna, sijui ODM, Mwanga, Gachagua, sijui Kalonzo, sijui Martha Karua. While you're paying attention there, they will be passing these laws. Namteka Simuliona vile nini finance bill ilipitishwa. Are you forgetting? Why were you not aware of these laws when they were being debated in parliament? You just had it on the day that Raila Odinga was announced he's dead. And ilikuwanga tu ka footnote hapo, hata ilikuwa si kitu major, ilikuwa si headline. Breaking news, it was all about people in Kasarani, sijui Raila Odinga in the airport, Raila Odinga in India, sijui wapi. They should have been showing us. If the media is also complicit in this. If the media was doing its work, they should have been showing us a double screen. Here is what's happening with Raila Odinga's death, and here is the debates about these laws that are going to affect us. So here you are. Your individual civil liberties are being encroached on, are being taken away from you. Your land is being taken away from you. While you argue and fight about things that are inconsequential, like, oh, who is going to be the next Secretary General of ODM? Oh, what's next for ODM? Is ODM going to be split? Oh, 2027, what coalition will Ruto join? Oh, what will this and that and that? Political decisions, political theater, political posturing and postulations and drama that really do not mean anything and affect nothing in your day-to-day life. But the laws that they are passing will affect you because you will not be able to express yourselves regarding these laws. You will not be able to express yourself when they take these lands from you. You will not be able to express yourselves when they raise taxes to a point where you will not be able to even keep this land that you struggle so hard to own or to buy, or that was passed on from your parents and great-grandparents. Does Kenya need more laws? Isn't enforcement the problem? So when citizens demand accountability, you silence them. So why should they pay taxes? Absolutely. This is why sometimes I blame the citizens. What is happening in Kenya, the only remedy is a revolution, not laws. We know that there's no law enforcement. No one will enforce these laws. No one will enforce these laws. Not the police, not the independent governmental institutions, like there's not these so-called independent branches of government, like the judiciary, will not do its job. The legislative body, who are passing these laws without consulting the people, violating Article 118 of public participation. The president, who at this point does not give one it's about anybody else but himself and his friends. Thank you, Mugende. I see you. Karibu sana. So you see what I'm saying? So the system has collapsed. Kenya is a failed state. There's no democracy. It was never a democracy in the first place. It's just democratic in paper. Kenya is only a republic on paper. Kenya only has laws on paper. Kenya has only representatives on paper. These are not representatives. They are criminals. Starting from the president himself, Ruto, and the whole executive branch, the legislative body, the whole legislative body are criminals. What do you call somebody who breaks the law? Criminal. The judiciary, criminals. The police, who are supposed to be independent, criminals. IEBC, criminals. So you have criminals passing laws that actually violate the Constitution. Basically, criminals are making laws that are criminal in itself. So how do you expect to operate and oppose these criminals in a criminal system? How do you expect to win a fight in a system where the law is written by criminals and it's been operationalized and enforced by criminals? You see what I'm saying? That's why you cannot win in this fight by simply going to courts and having petitions and conservative orders. And you cannot win, and you will not. They knew this. These criminals knew this. They sat down and thought about the possibilities. They know that. The only way you can actually defeat these criminals if you Kenyans, we Kenyans, come together and by popular revolution, we remove all these criminals, we have them and hold them accountable for the their past criminal activities, okay, and jail them, because criminals need to be arrested. Then we enforce what we already have, what the Constitution says, which spells out how we govern ourselves. And we vote to pick new leaders based on what the Constitution says. Chapter 6, you have to pass it, my friend. Okay? That way, we don't end up with representatives like the ones we have currently, like the Rutos and the whole legislative body and the whole judiciary. We'll have a new system that are voted by means of constitutionally elected. And every law that they will pass from there on will have to meet what the Constitution says the process of legislation takes. Public participation has to happen. Okay? How our national wealth is divided among the people, it's in the Constitution. Okay? So easy mambo ya kupiga makelele, sijui tunaenda court. The court is also compromised. Anyway, I'll keep this short. Thank you, Amuganda. Yes, the only way is revolution. I know it's taking a majority of us to that realization. When I was saying the IBC is compromised, tuache kwenda kuchukua kura because it's a waste of time. Many people are saying, no, tutachunga kura, let's go sijui nini, we shall overwhelm the polling station na tutachunga kura. Now that you went to chukua hiyo kura, you are realizing that Ruto through IBC ameka mtego huko IBC, where ukiregister kuvote hapa in Kawangware, unaambiwa on the day of voting, you'll be voting in Nanyuki. If you register to vote in Kiambu, you are being told the place where you are going to vote ni Kisumu. Hizo ndio mchezo mnachezewa. And I was telling you, not only me, but a bunch of others, we were telling you that wacheni kuharibu wakati mnaenda kuchukua kura. And now you've started realizing that you are being tricked into chukuaring kura because the IBC was compromised and the election has been predetermined. So you're coming to the realization of what we've been telling you all along. Now unangoja 2027 Ruto akishaiba kura and he's reinstalled as the president of Kenya, and anaeka ninio majeshi yake hapo achape watu bunduki. That's when you realize, oh, you know what? It is actually time for revolution. Because now Ruto ameiba live. Well, we were telling you early. Mapema ndio best, ama? Thank you so much. Good year. Majority of Kenyans shall realize the need for a revolution once Ruto steals the election in 2027. That's when we realize. But now the reason why we shall not have a revolution in 2027 after Ruto ameshaiba kura. Ruto is very clever. Anawacheza kwa sababu you're not paying attention. That's the only reason why he's clever, because you're not paying attention. Once Ruto steals the election and is announced the president, there'll be a huge propaganda to justify his win. Ata argue at the people of Nyanza voted for him because Raila was close to Ruto before his death. They were working together. You see wakina Kasmuel, these NIS agents, how they are operating. Saizi wanasema ati, Tuta-endorse Ruto. Hata Gachu. You know, if you... Don't you find it funny? Gaucho and Kasmuel are saying the same thing. Kasmuel yesterday said, you know, if Ruto keeps fulfill all the masharti za easy blood-based government, MOU, he will have no problem voting for Ruto in 2027. Owedi and somebody else came out and say Raila was secretly planning on choosing Ruto as the presidential candidate in 2027, which is a lie because we know what Raila said before he died. Gaucho came out and said, oh, Ruto is the spokesman of the Luo nation today. Wakina Wanga, Wakina Mbadi, they're saying Ruto is this, yeye ndiye anatueleza vile tunaendelea. Yeah? You see the game, unaona your game. The reason why you will not have a revolution in 2027 is this. Ndio maana nawaambia revolution inafaa kuanza saa hizi. I know revolution is a process. It doesn't start in one day. But the reason why I'm telling you this is the best time to start. By 2027, you will be so divided in tribe. You will be so divided in tribal lineage kwa sababu utaanza kusikia watu wakisema wale Wajaluo ndio wamefanya Ruto wamekuwa re-elected. The same thing you had Wajaluo were saying in Jakaranda. At it is the Kikuyus who put Ruto there. Wacheni kulia. Nyinyi ndio mlipigia Ruto hii 2022. Sasa kuleni hiyo ujeuri yenu. So unasikia hiyo tribal division ambayo inawekwangwa hivyo. So once Ruto becomes president in 2027, stealing the election, utaanza kusikia wakina Mbadi and Dani. What is his name? Kaluma. Ataanza kusema, si nyinyi wa Kikuyu mliiba pia? Si nyinyi mliiba? Wacha Ruto aendelee, hata sisi pia tumeiba. It's okay. This is how these people argue. Because listen to me. If you listen to Oburu years ago, before the election 2022, ulisikia kitu alisema? Ati we always win, we always have the people, but they usually steal from us because we didn't have the system. But this time we have the system. So we shall win. When they were being endorsed by by President Uhuru at that time. And that's the same thing they'll do. Ruto at our divide. Akishaiba, he will divide you to justify killing anybody who is speaking out against his electoral injustice. Atawambia, Kenya must be peaceful. Atawambia, Kenya must be peaceful. We shall not allow people to kama mnataka kuleta makelele hapa ati mnataka kuleta maandamano endeni kotini. It's the oldest trick in the book. Because the emotions will be very high. Tension itakuwa juu. And tribalism itakuwa overtly expressed. Nyinyi Wajaluo ndio mmepigia Ruto, mna support Ruto. Nyinyi ndio mmemrudisha hapo. Now Wajaluo now through Kalumas. Not all, I'm saying. These are the demagogues that will be using provocative language to provoke tribal clashes. And tribal clashes we shall have. So the secret is to start early by uniting Kenyans, all Kenyans, Wajaluo na Wakikuyu. The very beautiful thing that I saw when everyone walikuwa nakosoa Kahiga and Gladys Wanga. That was commendable. Let's keep with that spirit of oneness, one Kenya, and use that energy to say Ruto must resign. Demand. Sio tafadhali. Demand Ruto must resign. Kwa sababu tukifika election, unataka hii siasa inakuja hapa hivi. Utasikia Sifuna hivi, sijui nini. You'll be distracted by a lot of nonsense. Political nonsense. And it will be heavily laced with tribal undertones. Ukabila. Wale ndio walipigia Ruto wakaweka Ruto hapo. Msianze kulia. It is our turn to eat. Hata sisi tuko kwa serikali. And wale nao watasema hawa wajaka hawa. Wamerogwa. Raila amekufa na bado wanafuata mambo ya Raila na wanafuatia Ruto saizi. Githinji. Those are the kind of language that are used to divide you. But now that we've recognized that they're trying to divide us, let's not pay attention to their nonsense. Let's demand for something that we long for, that we know is the only remedy, which is a popular, peaceful revolution. What we saw happen in Nepal. Shoot, before Nepal, it was Kenya that actually started the movement, Gen Z thing. Kahawa break. Please subscribe while I drink my kahawa. Huh? That's the only way. Sasa zile bado tumeshikana pamoja kabla, because running through elections, ngoja. Now this time it will be messier than the previous elections. So tushikane pamoja na tuondoe hawa watu. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies and comrades, I just wanted to talk about that Kenya cyber crime law versus freedom of speech. Okay? Again, like I say, in my opinion, I think this is a huge distraction. It's not going to be overturned, in my opinion. Okay? We are going to be distracted by news of Gladys Wanga, Sifuna leaving ODM, sijui Kasmuel, sijui Babu Owino, sijui Raila Odinga Jr. running for Kibera, I don't know, MP Langata, sijui Winnie Mandela, Winnie. Lots of distraction are coming up. And you will lose your focus from what is happening at the courts. Because if I was to ask you, do you remember when did the parliamentarians pass these 8 laws that we are now to kapigania? Okay? That's what I'm saying. Do you remember when these ninio, wana siasa walipitisha hizo laws za ninio? Ya hiyo land laws na CyberCrime? We don't remember. Okay? It will be the same thing. You will not hear what will happen in the news about the ruling on these cyber laws and land laws and privatization bill and all this stuff. You will not hear it. Okay? But anyway, guys, that's what I wanted to talk about. Please do me a favor, like, share, subscribe, do all the good stuff, comment, and all that. Mweke notification bell on. I'll leave it here. Thank you so much, Goodyear. Say Gladys Wanga owns Kenya because she works for wait, what? I can see some good some good comments here, some interesting. Gladys Wanga owns Kenya because she works for border agency. Yeah. Nani anatuambia Babu Owino will go with all Luos to opposition. Mark this. Who listens to Gladys Wanga? I have no idea who listens to Gladys Wanga. Gladys Wanga is Gladys Wanga. Anyway, among others. Musioka 3 times, thank you so much. Goodyear, thank you so much. Omugendi, thank you so much. And Shimariam also, who was here, who I haven't seen for a while, thank you so much. If you're going to watch this on repeat, please don't forget, like, subscribe, share, comment, do all the good stuff, and put the notification on. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace and blessings. I'm out.